Hey guys, Ivan here. So last night we had the last Mr. Olympia qualification show, Legion Sports Fest, and there may have been some irregularities to this show. I'm not saying that is for certain. We're gonna talk about this in this video. We're gonna discuss it. We're gonna analyze it. I'm not so sure yet. I haven't really made up my mind, but there are some things that we can point at. Now, this was your top 3. So who do I think may have been robbed here? Justin Rodriguez? No, absolutely not. He was probably gifted that 3rd spot. You could make an argument that Vitor Boff deserved to be 3rd, but that's a discussion for a different video. Justin Rodriguez, I think this guy is pretty much, I don't want to say done, but I think his best days are behind him. For some time now, he hasn't really been improving at all. Now, can he improve from this point on? Maybe, I don't know, but I don't think so. Maybe it is time for him to hang those trunks. I think his physique is going in the wrong direction for a while. But anyways, who I think might have been robbed is Jon Jewett. I think he could have easily won this show. Now, Charles Griffin won this show, and I'm not saying that he didn't deserve it. I would say it was pretty close. But the reason why I think Charles shouldn't have won this show was that torn pec of his. You guys probably remember earlier this year he had a pec tear, a pretty bad one. He was doing some dumbbell presses on the incline and he tore that left pec, and it's quite visible. It's very, very visible. It looks like it's going to fall off. So it doesn't look very good. It's not, pec tears are tricky. Who has a good pec tear? Who recovers from a pec tear and looks normal, like nothing happened? That's really not something that happens often. There are some guys who had minor tears, Hunter Labrada, Phil Heath even. You could say Kevin Levrone had a pretty big one, but it looked decent. In this case, it doesn't look decent. It doesn't look okay. It doesn't look very good. There is a huge asymmetry, and chest, it's like the first thing that pops to your eyes when you see an athlete. Other than that, I would say Charles was better. Let's take a look. So in the legs, I think Jon Jewett was probably a little bit, fuller, bigger, especially now that he competes in the Open. In the 212, I think his legs suffered and they were flatter. Now here in the Open, they're really big and full, but I think Charles had more detail. He was sharper in the legs. Earlier, Charles didn't have too many details in the inner part of the legs. The outer part was fine, was really shredded and detailed, but there wasn't a lot of details. Now that seems improved. It's probably just the posing, but regardless, it looks better now. And I think because of that sharpness, I think he looks better than Jon Jewett in the lower body from the front. Now, as far as the upper body, very, very similar. Interestingly, very, very similar physiques. Very similar V-taper, very similar the look and the size of the arms, of the lats, of the chest. The midsection looks pretty similar. Charles has the angle, so I'm assuming Jon was actually probably even bigger. And I'm guessing from a different angle, let's say from the front, Jon's legs probably look bigger because they look equal here from this angle. But I can comment only what I see, and what I see in this shot right here is that it is very, very close, extremely close. In the next pose, in the front lat spread, Jon has the angle actually, and I don't think Charles is fully in the pose. I don't know if he flexed those legs really hard, but here in this moment he didn't. He didn't really flex his legs fully. Because of that, Jon looks better, but I think if Charles really flexed those legs hard, he would probably look again sharper in the legs. Upper body, once again, very, very similar, but a pec tear. You can see Charles has a bad pec tear, and it is throwing me off. Very, very close, but Charles has a pec tear. So far, I definitely do have Jon winning. Side chest, it's really not fair to do an analysis based on this photo, because you can basically see Charles's back. But there is one very, very interesting thing, and that's Charles Griffin's glutes. And this guy, usually, before, he would get peeled. He would get super dry and grainy and hard, but his glutes really wouldn't have this kind of separation. He used to have a similar issue like Samson Dauda, for example, and at this show, I think his glutes looked sharper than ever. So he definitely made a big improvement as far as that. And also, I would say legs. Legs look more detailed. He managed to do a really good vacuum to make his waist not appear wide, because it was a really, really wide back, I don't know, let's say a few years ago. So I gotta give it to him. This guy is making rapid improvements year after year. And I think he started bodybuilding very, very late. So he's still fresh, in the game. He's older, I think he's near 40, but he only started doing bodybuilding quite recently, and that's why he's making so much progress year after year. I don't want to say that he's like a top 10 material. I mean, I know how shredded he gets, how hard, how grainy, how impressive some of his body parts are, but now with the pec tear and with his structural flaws, I don't see him ever in that top 10, but top 16, top 15 maybe. And now we are getting to the part where we can make the arguments for Charles deservedly winning this show. So from behind, I mean, he was peeled, man, he was shredded. Like those hamstrings and glutes. But then again, John Jewett wasn't far behind. Like his hamstrings are really peeled and glutes as well. However, that lower back of John Jewett, it wasn't all the way in. I think he's only holding a little bit of water. I don't think he really fits in the 212. I think that's way too low for him. I think he competes here at around 225, 226. So I think ideally for him, he should be like 220. 212 is way too low. When he goes to 212, he loses that fullness that he has. I don't know what his plans for the future are. I know that he doesn't live off of bodybuilding. He has a very, very successful subscription website. He's a good businessman. He makes a lot of money aside from competing, right? The impression that I get from listening to him on the podcasts and reading his captions, I feel like he's doing bodybuilding just because he enjoys it. Now, of course, you're gonna choose a category in which you can do better. Sure, it makes sense. But I feel like the most important thing for him is to look his absolute best. Can he look his absolute best in the 212? In my opinion, no. And no, I don't think he can be this full, this big, this round in the 212. He needs to lose some of that. He needs to get a little bit stringier. And yeah, 212, much weaker competition. He can place very high over there. But I don't think he can look his absolute best. Is he drier in the 212 than right here? Sure. But I think he's only holding a little bit of water. I think he talked about not stopping GH, before the show, and some other compounds that are usually thrown out when you're trying to get as dry as possible. I mean, it probably worked in the favor of fullness. He was really full and round. But I think if he was like 5 pounds lighter, 5 pounds drier, he would be at his absolute best. That would be the best possible version of John Jewett. So I feel like John Jewett should focus on the open division because that's where he can look his best. And if he chooses his shows carefully, he can win an open show. I mean, if not this year, next year for sure. He almost won this one, and you can make an argument that he actually did. Actually was the best physique right here. So, I mean, I don't see him ever placing top 10 at Mr. Olympia. But again, can he place top 16? Yeah, I can see that. I think he's impressive enough. I think he can get shredded. So once again, at around 220, like 5 pounds lighter than this, whatever this was. A little bit drier, a little bit sharper. I think that's the best version of John Jewett. Could have he won this show the way he looked? Probably. I think he probably should have won. But, I mean, let's go back to that back double bicep and let's compare it once again. Charles Griffin has a crazy back. Like, that's his trademark. His back, his lats literally insert into his glutes. Like, there is no space between. These are probably the longest lats I ever saw. Like, who has these low insertions of lats? Like, this is really a rare sight to be seen. Also hamstrings, he has really shredded hamstrings, and triceps are crazy. But back is very, very good. So yeah, he won this pose for sure. Maybe his glutes aren't as detailed as John's, but hamstrings are, and back is better, especially that lower part that is way more defined, way crispier and fuller. Just overall, this pose, he won the back double bicep, and let's see the back lat spread. Yeah, he won this one too. So yeah, Charles Griffin won both back poses by not a lot, by a little. Side poses are very close. You can give those to Charles Griffin, but front poses? No way, man. No way. Because of that back tear, mainly. If there wasn't for that, it would be very close, but because of that, I give it to John. And overall, if John Jewett wasn't already qualified for a 212 Olympia, would Charles Griffin win this show? I don't know. Once again, because of that back tear, I don't know if this was supposed to be an outcome, but, it is what it is. Charles is going to the Mr. Olympia. John is as well, but in the 212. Whatever you guys think about this decision, tell me down below in the comment section. And tell me also what do you think. Is John Jewett better suited for the Open or the 212? Whatever you guys think, tell me down below in the comment section. Like this video if you enjoyed it. And for more bodybuilding content like this, subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much. See you soon. All the best and bye-bye.